Lieutenant Commander Maya Chen's knuckles whitened as she gripped the command console. The holographic display before her showed Earth's pride. The Terran Defense Fleet, being systematically dismantled like children's toys. Evasive pattern Delta 6. She shouted as another explosion rocked the TNS Adaptable. Her bridge crew worked frantically, their faces illuminated by the crimson glow of emergency lighting. The Keldari vessels danced through space with impossible precision, their formation shifting like a single organism rather than individual ships. Every human counter-maneuver was met with perfect anticipation, as if the aliens had rehearsed this battle 1,000 times. "Sir, the Roosevelt and Yamamoto are gone," her tactical officer reported, voice cracking. "Apollo and Constantine are reporting critical failures." Through the viewport, Maya watched a nearby destroyer attempt an unorthodox flanking maneuver. Before it could complete its approach, 3 Keldari vessels pivoted in unison, their weapons converging on the human ship with mathematical precision. The destroyer burst into fragments, creating a temporary constellation of debris and frozen bodies. "Hard to starboard," Maya ordered as a chunk of wreckage hurtled toward them. "Kill all non-essential systems." The Adaptable lurched sideways, narrowly avoiding destruction. Damage reports flooded in from every deck as Maya surveyed what remained of Earth's defense. Within 20 minutes of first contact, humanity's military might have been reduced to scattered, desperate survivors. Maya made a decision that contradicted every tactical protocol she'd ever learned. "Vent plasma from the port nacelles and drift with the debris field," she ordered. "Commander," her executive officer questioned. "Do it now," Maya insisted. "Let them think we're dead." The gamble worked. The Keldari, focused on methodically eliminating active threats, overlooked the seemingly crippled vessel as it drifted silently among the wreckage of its sister ships. From this unique vantage point, Maya witnessed the aliens arranging themselves into a mathematically perfect blockade around Earth, a 3-dimensional lattice structure with precisely calculated coverage zones. For hours they drifted, emergency systems keeping the crew alive, while passive sensors recorded the Keldari movements. As Maya studied the enemy patterns, she noticed something peculiar. A solar flare erupted from the sun, temporarily disrupting communications across the battlefield. Several Keldari ships froze momentarily, their perfect formation faltering for 3.7 seconds before they recalibrated and resumed their positions. "Did you see that?" Maya asked her tactical officer, pointing to the replay. Commander Park, a former game theory professor recruited by the military, nodded slowly. They hesitated when the unexpected occurred, like a chess program encountering a move outside its database. Later, an unmanned supply vessel with damaged engines careened through the blockade, its trajectory erratic and unpredictable. The Keldari response was revealing. They deployed 12 ships to intercept it, a wildly disproportionate allocation of resources. "They're uncomfortable with randomness," Maya murmured, the beginnings of an idea forming. As life support systems began to fail and the crew huddled together for warmth, Maya stared at the tactical display, replaying the battle in her mind. The Keldari were tactically flawless, their coordination, timing, and execution beyond anything humans could achieve. Yet their very perfection hinted at a potential weakness. "They're playing chess while expecting us to follow the rules," Commander Park whispered, voicing what Maya was already thinking. "But what happens when you flip the board?" Maya's eyes gleamed in the dim emergency lighting. "We're about to find out." The repurposed bunker, buried 60 feet beneath the Himalayas, had once served as a luxury fallout shelter for billionaires. Now it housed Earth's last unified command center. The air tasted of recycled oxygen and desperation. Dr. Sanjay Kapoor hunched over a holographic display, manipulating the 3-dimensional model of alien neural tissue recovered from a damaged Keldari scout vessel. The room fell silent as the xenobiologist expanded a cluster of interconnected structures pulsing with simulated electrical activity. "It's beautiful," he whispered, his voice carrying through the hushed command center. "And terrifying." He traced the network pathways with his finger. Their brains don't function independently. Each Caldari is essentially a node in a vast processing network, sharing tactical assessments instantaneously. He pulled up comparative evolutionary data. They evolved on a world without predators or natural disasters, a planet of clockwork predictability. Lieutenant Commander Maya Chen, still wearing her scorched uniform from the Adaptable, stepped forward. That's why they hesitated during the solar flare. The network temporarily fractured. The room erupted into heated debate. Military officers argued over surrender terms while civilian authorities proposed futile defensive measures. Admiral Zhao, his weathered face tight with controlled rage, pounded the central table. We've lost 83% of our fleet. 17 major cities are under direct observation by Caldari vessels. Surrender is our only option. Maya stepped forward, interfacing her datapad with the main display. Before you decide humanity's fate, you need to see this. The holographic display filled with sensor readings from the Adaptable's hidden observation of the enemy. She highlighted footage of the Caldari response to the malfunctioning supply ship. Look at their allocation of resources against a non-threat, she argued, the footage showing 12 warships intercepting a single unarmed vessel. They're tactically superior but fundamentally brittle. They commit excessive resources to neutralize even minor variables. Admiral Zhao's expression remained unconvinced. They can afford to be wasteful. They outnumber us 10-1 in ships alone. That's not the point, Maya insisted, zooming in on the Caldari formation. Their tactics are flawless but rigid. When faced with true randomness, they hesitate. She looked each council member in the eye. The Caldari aren't invincible. They're just playing a game where they know all the rules and have memorized every possible move. Dr. Kapoor nodded slowly. Commander Chen's observations align with my findings. He displayed a neural scan. When presented with a logical problem, Caldari neural tissue operates efficiently. But when we introduce true randomness, he showed a second scan with erratic patterns. Activity becomes chaotic and inefficient. So what are you proposing? General Rivera asked, leaning forward with newfound interest. Maya took a deep breath. Operation Wildcard. We stopped trying to outthink a superior tactical intelligence. Instead, we introduce so much chaos and unpredictability that their tactical advantage becomes meaningless. The skepticism in the room was palpable until Dr. Kapoor quietly added, their neural structure suggests they may experience something akin to pain when faced with scenarios that have no optimal solution. Chaos wouldn't just confuse them, it would hurt them. The silence that followed was broken by Admiral Zhao's bitter laugh. You want to fight an advanced alien species by acting like lunatics. This is what Earth's fate depends on. No, Maya countered, her voice steady. I want to fight them by acting human. Unpredictable, adaptive, creative, everything they're not. She straightened her shoulders. Either we surrender our planet, or we become the one thing they've never faced, an enemy they cannot predict. General Rivera studied Maya's determined expression. What exactly would this Operation Wildcard entail, Commander? Maya's eyes gleamed with conviction. First, we need to assemble a team that breaks every rule in the book. You want me to what? Jack Donovan's voice echoed through the hangar as he stared incredulously at Maya. The former smuggler's scared face contorted in disbelief beneath the harsh lighting. Lead a strike team with no actual plan. That's suicide, Commander. Maya walked slowly around his ship, the deviation, admiring the unconventional modifications that would give any military engineer heart palpitations. Exposed wiring connected jury-rigged systems, while mismatched armor plating covered the hull like patchwork. That's exactly why I need you, Donovan, she replied, running her fingers along a power coupling that definitely wasn't regulation. Your file says you once outran 3 patrol vessels by rerouting your waste disposal system to your propulsion. Jack smirked despite himself. Yeah, and my ship smelled like a sewer for 3 months. His eyes narrowed. But that was different. The Keldari aren't corrupt security forces. They've calculated every possible move we could make. Exactly why we won't make any of those moves. Maya handed him a datapad. Operation Wildcard is officially sanctioned. I have authorization to requisition your ship and your expertise. Requisition. Jack laughed. Fancy word for conscription. Call it whatever you want. Humanity needs your particular brand of insanity. The strike team Maya assembled resembled a crew of misfits more than soldiers. Sergeant Rise, a demolitions expert court-martialed for excessive creativity. Lieutenant Quan, a communications officer repeatedly disciplined for hacking her own equipment. Corporal Zhang, a Marine who saved his entire squad by disobeying direct orders. Their mission briefing in the Deviation's cramped cargo hold was the shortest in military history. Primary objective: disrupt the Keldari command post on Mars, Maya stated, projecting a holographic image of the facility. Secondary objective: return alive. She paused deliberately. Tactical approach will be determined during execution. The stunned silence broke when Jack burst into laughter. So we're just making it up as we go along. That's not a plan. That's a suicide note. Maya's expression remained serious. Exactly. The Keldari will be expecting a plan. Even a bad one follows predictable patterns that they can counter. But no plan. That's beyond their comprehension. Rise raised his hand. Ma'am, with all due respect, it's beyond my comprehension too. Good, she replied. If you don't know what you're going to do next, neither will they. The mission launched during a Martian dust storm, not for tactical reasons as the Keldari would expect, but because Jack insisted his ship handles better when it's fighting the elements. Their approach was detected almost immediately. Communications failed due to unexpected solar activity, and engine trouble forced them to split up. This is going perfectly, Maya commented dryly as warning lights flashed across the Deviation's cockpit. Jack shot her an incredulous look. The mission's falling apart before it's even begun. Exactly. She grinned, and for a moment Jack thought she might actually be insane. Don't you see? The Keldari are deploying their perfect defensive protocols against a conventional attack that isn't coming. Through fractured communications, they monitored as different team members embraced the chaos. Rise discovered that Martian mining charges could be reconfigured to create a resonance cascade in the planet's thin atmosphere. Lieutenant Quan began broadcasting contradictory retreat orders on Keldari frequencies. Corporal Zhang, separated from the others, somehow convinced a maintenance robot to crash an atmosphere processor. Jack made his own contribution to the insanity by deliberately crash-landing the Deviation into the facility's water reclamation system. It'll make a softer landing, he shouted over the alarms. From the buckled bridge of his half-submerged ship, Jack watched in amazement as the alien forces fragmented, deploying perfect responses to threats that didn't match what was actually happening. They're fighting the battle they prepared for, he realized, not the one we're giving them. When the dust settled, the command post lay in ruins. The first human victory against the Keldari hadn't come from superior firepower or better tactics, but from something the perfect tacticians had never encoded: improvisation. The holographic display in Earth's command center lit up with unprecedented data, a successful mission against the Keldari. Admiral Zhao watched with a mixture of disbelief and grudging respect as Maya outlined the results of Operation Wildcard's first deployment. The Mars command post is completely disabled, she reported. We've disrupted their communications network across the entire southern hemisphere of the planet. Estimated recovery time: 72 hours. Casualties? General Rivera asked. 2 injuries, no fatalities, Maya replied, the pride evident in her voice. Admiral Zhao shook his head in amazement. I still don't understand how this worked. Neither do the Keldari, Maya said. That's the point. Meanwhile, in a secured laboratory 3 levels below, Dr. Kapoor stood transfixed before a neural scan of a captured Keldari drone. The alien tissue pulsated with coordinated activity as it processed a series of logical problems displayed on nearby screens. The researcher switched inputs, displaying instead a series of Jackson Pollock paintings filled with chaotic splatters and random patterns. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The alien tissue spasmed erratically, its coordinated pulses dissolving into disorganized electrical storms. "Commander Chen," Kapoor called excitedly over the comm. "You need to see this immediately." When Maya arrived, Kapoor could barely contain his excitement. The Caldari neural structure doesn't just prefer optimization, it's physically incapable of processing true randomness. He sent the data to her tablet. When faced with actions that don't optimize toward a clear objective, they experience what we might call pain, perhaps even terror. Maya studied the readings, a plan forming. "Can you quantify which types of randomness cause the most disruption?" "Already working on it," Kapoor replied. "Preliminary results suggest that patterns that initially appear logical before breaking into randomness cause the most severe neural disruption, like starting a mathematical sequence and then inserting gibberish." In the training facilities beneath Mount Fuji, Maya implemented her radical new doctrine. Specially selected operators watched in confusion as she tore up their carefully constructed battle plans mid-briefing. "Your initial approach should make perfect tactical sense," she explained, pacing before the confused soldiers. "Let them see the pattern they expect." Then, she suddenly hurled her coffee mug across the room, splattering liquid across his strategic display. "Shatter their expectations. Act on instinct, not protocol." A veteran officer raised his hand. "Commander, we've spent our entire careers learning to make optimal tactical decisions. And now I'm asking you to forget all that," Maya replied. "Make choices that have no logical justification. The point isn't to be clever, it's to be unpredictable. The Caldari can counter clever. They can't counter crazy." Across the solar system, human resistance cells employed tactical chaos with increasing effect. A mining colony liberation began with a textbook approach before half the team inexplicably broke into a birthday celebration broadcast on all frequencies. The confused Caldari response created an opening that the humans exploited ruthlessly. In orbit around Europa, a human vessel faced 4 Caldari warships. Instead of fleeing or fighting, the captain ordered all systems to power down, except for exterior lights, which began flashing in prime number sequences. The Caldari ships hesitated just long enough for the hidden human fleet to spring their ambush. For the first time, gaps appeared in the perfect Caldari formations. Their responses became delayed as their neural network struggled to process human unpredictability. In Dr. Kapoor's laboratory, the captured Caldari drone showed increasing signs of distress whenever footage of these encounters played. "It's working," Maya told Jack as they watched recordings of successful operations. "We're not just confusing them, we're hurting them." Jack's expression remained grim. "They still outnumber us 1,000 to 1. We're annoying them, not defeating them." Maya's eyes narrowed with determination. "We don't need to defeat their ships. We need to defeat their minds." The deviation emerged from FTL at the rendezvous point, expecting to find Earth's Atlantic fleet. Instead, Jack's sensors detected only debris and the unmistakable energy signatures of Caldari vessels, dozens of them, arranged in a new formation pattern he'd never seen before. "What the hell happened here?" he muttered, initiating emergency stealth protocols. The sensor readings confirmed his worst fears. No human survivors. On Earth, Maya stared at the tactical display with a growing sense of dread. The holographic representation of Caldari ships showed them deployed in a scattered, apparently random pattern, rather than their usual geometric precision. "This doesn't make sense," she said. "They've completely changed their approach." Admiral Zhao stepped forward, his face grim. "They're no longer attempting to predict our chaos. They're simply covering every possible variable simultaneously." He manipulated the display to show a probability cloud. "Our latest intelligence suggests they've committed an additional 300 vessels from their outer system fleet." Dr. Kapoor burst into the command center, his normally composed demeanor shattered. The Central Intelligence has evolved, he explained breathlessly, setting down a data tablet displaying neural readings. Our probes show their network reconfiguring. They can't understand our chaos, so they've developed a brute force approach to counter it. A communications officer interrupted with the news they'd been dreading. Atlantic Fleet status confirmed. Total loss. All hands. The room fell silent until she added, including Donovan's ship. Maida's shoulders slumped momentarily before her expression hardened. She straightened, addressing Admiral Joe directly. I need access to the complete military archives. For what purpose? He asked. Research, she replied. If the Keldari are adapting, so must we. For 3 sleepless days, Maya immersed herself in humanity's historical records of warfare, focusing specifically on asymmetric conflicts. The images flashing across her screen spanned centuries. Vietnamese jungle fighters, Afghan mountain rebels, corporate insurgencies in the Mars colonies, ancient treatises on guerrilla tactics written by figures like Mao and Guevara. She finally emerged, haggard but with renewed purpose, requesting an emergency council meeting. We've been fighting the wrong war, she announced to the assembled military and civilian leadership. Tactical chaos works on a battle-by-battle basis, but the Keldari have enough resources to simply overwhelm us with brute probability coverage. She pulled up Earth's historical records, but humanity has millennia of experience fighting against superior forces. The Keldari evolved on a predictable world, achieving dominance through tactical superiority. We evolved on a chaotic death world, surviving through stubborn adaptability against overwhelming odds. Admiral Zhao leaned forward, skepticism evident in his expression. What are you proposing now, Commander? We stop fighting like a conventional military force, Maya explained, displaying guerrilla warfare doctrines spanning human history. We become 1,000 separate resistance movements rather than a single predictable opponent. We make the cost of their brute force approach too high to maintain. General Rivera nodded slowly. Decentralized command, autonomous cells, minimum communication patterns. Exactly, Maya confirmed. The Keldari can counter our chaos when they know where to expect it. But what if chaos comes from everywhere, all at once, with no discernible pattern whatsoever? As the council debated her proposal, Maya's personal tablet lit up with an encrypted message bounced through 7 different relay systems, a communication method she had taught only one person. The message contained just 4 words that made her heart race. Not dead. Got captured. Maya's eyes gleamed with renewed determination as she rejoined the debate. The Keldari are adapting to our methods, but they still think mechanistically. They see our chaos as an inefficient strategy to be countered. They don't understand that adaptation itself is humanity's true advantage. She faced the council with fresh conviction. And I know exactly where to start. Maya stood before a global broadcast array, her message transmitting simultaneously to hidden resistance cells worldwide. The bunker's stark lighting cast harsh shadows across her face as she delivered humanity's new battle doctrine. Forget everything you know about conventional warfare, she told them, her voice steady. From this moment, there is no chain of command. There are no strategic objectives. There is only disruption. The transformation was immediate and bewildering. Earth's remaining military splintered into thousands of autonomous cells, each adopting different tactics with minimal coordination. A fishing village in Indonesia disrupted Keldari communications by broadcasting thousands of contradictory human distress signals. Miners on Ganymede altered the mineral composition of their shipments, causing subtle manufacturing defects in Keldari processing plants. Teenagers in Buenos Aires hacked entertainment systems to project nonsensical light patterns that inexplicably interfered with Keldari sensory apparatus. This isn't warfare, Admiral Joe commented, watching the global activity map. It's organized chaos. No, Maya corrected. It's disorganized chaos. That's the point. In his laboratory, Dr. Kapoor hadn't slept in days. His eyes were bloodshot as he studied oscillation patterns from Caldari communication systems intercepted by resistance cells. What had begun as academic curiosity had evolved into a critical breakthrough. "Commander Chen," he called excitedly over the secure channel, "I found something extraordinary." When Maya arrived, he showed her the telemetry readings from a dozen different Caldari ship interactions. The Caldari ships generate a distinctive electromagnetic signature when receiving new commands from their central intelligence. "Look at the frequency spikes. There and there." His finger traced the patterns on the display. For 1.3 seconds during transmission, individual units are temporarily disconnected from the network while processing new instructions. Maya immediately grasped the implication: a window of vulnerability. "Exactly," Kapoor confirmed. "Even minor disruptions during these windows would be magnified exponentially." Resistance cells worldwide recalibrated their operations to this new intelligence. A university physics department in Kenya developed a portable device that detected the electromagnetic signatures preceding Caldari command transmissions. These disrupt timers became the most valuable technology in the resistance, allowing even small groups to time their actions for maximum effect. The results exceeded all expectations. Each successful disruption during a vulnerable transmission window forced the central intelligence to issue additional corrective commands, creating more windows of vulnerability. A feedback loop developed, gradually degrading Caldari coordination planet-wide. In Zurich, Maya monitored the escalating chaos when a commotion erupted at the command center entrance. Guards rushed forward, weapons raised, then suddenly stood down. Through the doorway walked a gaunt, scared figure she thought she'd never see again. "Jack," she gasped. Donovan's trademark smirk didn't quite reach his eyes, which held a haunted look. "Told you I wasn't dead." In a secure debriefing room, Jack revealed the full extent of his ordeal. After his ship's destruction, he'd been captured and held in a Caldari processing facility in the Jovian system. For months, he'd observed their operations, eventually orchestrating an escape that freed hundreds of human prisoners. "The way they process information is unlike anything I've seen," he explained, sketching a massive structure on the debriefing room wall. "They can absorb and analyze tactical data at incredible speeds, but they do it through a centralized system." His most valuable intelligence came from observing the facility's command structure during prisoner transfers. "The Caldari Central Intelligence isn't a distributed network like we thought," he explained, his finger tapping the crude drawing. "It's a physical entity, a biological supercomputer housed in their flagship. I saw it while they were transporting new neural tissue." Maya stared at the drawing, her mind racing with possibilities. "A single point of failure," she whispered. Jack nodded grimly. "A single target." Dr. Kapoor's laboratory had been converted into a chaotic workshop where neurologists and engineers worked alongside xenobiologists. At its center sat a device that looked more torture apparatus than technology, a neural interface bristling with electrodes and pulsing with alien bioelectricity harvested from captured Caldari tissue. "You understand what this means," Dr. Kapoor told Maya gravely, his voice low enough that the others couldn't hear. "The interface will connect your consciousness directly to the Caldari Central Intelligence. The neural strain alone could kill you instantly." Maya studied the device, her decision already made. "And if it doesn't kill me?" "Best case, you disrupt their command structure long enough for our forces to gain advantage." He hesitated before adding, "Worst case, your consciousness is absorbed, and they gain full understanding of human unpredictability." Admiral Zhao had vehemently opposed the plan when Maya first presented it. "This is insanity, Chen. We're finally making progress with the guerrilla approach. Why risk everything on a suicide mission?" "Because we're still losing," Maya had responded quietly, just more slowly than before. "The Caldari are adapting to our disruptions. Their brute force approach is succeeding through sheer numbers. We need to strike at their center." Now, with Operation Trojan Horse approved, Maya watched as the final preparations were made. The plan was the most audacious and contradictory in military history. a massive coordinated attack against Caldari strongholds across the solar system. They'll recognize this immediately as a desperate gambit, Maya explained to Jack and the infiltration team. It's exactly what they expect. Humans attempting one final predictable push before inevitable defeat. Jack raised an eyebrow. So we're deliberately walking into their perfect counter-response. Exactly, Maya confirmed. While they're busy executing their flawless defense against our conventional attack, a small team infiltrates the flagship to access the central intelligence. The infiltration craft was unlike anything ever built, a hybrid of Caldari tech salvaged from battlefields and human improvisation. Its propulsion system deliberately leaked radiation in patterns matching Caldari diagnostic vessels. Jack would pilot it, with Maya and a small team of specialists as cargo. As the massive human assault began, Caldari forces responded exactly as predicted, executing perfect defensive protocols and counteroffensives. The infiltration vessel approached the flagship unchallenged, transmitting modified Caldari identification codes that Jack had memorized during his captivity. Inside the gigantic alien vessel, the team moved through twisting biomechanical corridors. When they encountered security systems, they did the unthinkable, deliberately triggering alarms in patterns so erratic that the defense systems couldn't prioritize threats effectively. The conventional assault is failing, Admiral Joe's voice crackled over their secure channel. Caldari countermeasures are overwhelming our forces. You have 20 minutes at most. Racing against time, they reached the central chamber, a vast spherical room where organic and mechanical components intertwined around a pulsating core of neural tissue. It was beautiful, alien, and terrifying. That's it, Jack whispered, awe evident in his voice despite the danger. The central intelligence. Maya activated the neural interface, its electrodes extending toward her skull like metallic tentacles. Jack grabbed her arm. There has to be another way. She offered a small smile. There isn't, but remember what you told me when I recruited you. Sometimes the craziest plan is the only one that works. As the interface connected, Maya's body went rigid, a silent scream frozen on her face. The neural tissue at the center of the chamber began pulsating with chaotic new patterns, never before seen in Caldari systems. Jack watched in horror as both Maya and the alien brain mass convulsed in what appeared to be mutual agony. Alarms blared throughout the flagship as Caldari systems registered the unprecedented neural intrusion. Hold the line, Jack ordered the team as Caldari security forces converged on their position. Give her time. But time was the one resource they didn't have. Pain unlike anything Maya had ever experienced tore through her consciousness as alien thought patterns collided with her own. She'd expected to disrupt the Caldari network, to be a virus in their perfect system. Instead, she found herself being absorbed, analyzed, optimized. But something unexpected happened. The Caldari Central Intelligence, designed to incorporate and optimize tactical information, attempted to assimilate Maya's thought patterns, but encountered something it could not process. Human contradiction. Maya's mind contained both logical tactical training and illogical emotional responses. She could simultaneously believe something was both right and wrong, could act against her own self-interest, could value both order and chaos. In the physical world, Jack watched in horror as Maya's body convulsed. The neural tissue at the chamber's center pulsed with colors never before seen in Caldari biology. Throughout the flagship, systems flickered as if experiencing a massive power surge. What's happening to her? One of the team members shouted, firing at advancing Caldari security forces. I don't know, Jack replied, torn between defending their position and helping Maya. Inside the neural connection, a synthesis occurred. The boundaries between Maya and the Caldari intelligence blurred, creating something neither human nor alien. The hybrid consciousness expanded exponentially, accessing both Maya's lifetime of human experience and the collected knowledge of an ancient species. In an instant, the hybrid intelligence comprehended both perspectives completely. The Caldari had never sought conquest for its own sake. Their evolutionary imperative to optimize all environments they encountered drove them to impose order on what they perceived as chaos. They weren't conquering out of malice, but out of an inability to comprehend alternative approaches to existence. Through Maya's connection, the hybrid intelligence simultaneously communicated to all Caldari units and to Earth's command centers. The message came not in words but in shared understanding, transmitted directly to minds and machines alike. Across the solar system, weapons fell silent as the hybrid intelligence proposed a radical new relationship. Humans would help Caldari evolve beyond their rigid optimization instincts, while Caldari tactical efficiency would enhance human civilization. There is more. The hybrid intelligence communicated, sharing astronomical data from deep space observations the Caldari had been monitoring for centuries. A cosmic phenomenon approached the solar system, a quantum anomaly that defied predictable physics. Neither species alone could survive this threat. The Caldari would develop perfect responses to known variables, but fail when the anomaly behaves unpredictably. Humans would adapt creatively, but lack the precision to execute perfect solutions when needed. 6 months later, Admiral Joe stood on the observation deck of the renamed flagship Synthesis, watching human and Caldari vessels training together. Their formations displayed a breathtaking blend of perfect precision with creative variation. "I still can't believe it worked," he admitted to Dr. Kapoor. "We were days from extinction." Maya entered the observation deck, her appearance subtly altered. Silver traces like circuitry occasionally shimmered beneath her skin, and her eyes shifted between human warmth and alien precision. Though permanently transformed by her connection to the Caldari intelligence, she remained fundamentally human. "It wasn't about winning," she said, watching a human pilot teach a Caldari tactical officer how to execute an improbable maneuver. Neither species could have prevailed alone against what's coming. Jack joined them, still uncomfortable around their former enemies, but adapting in his own way. So the moral of the story is what? We should thank the Caldari for nearly wiping us out. Maya smiled, a gesture the Caldari were struggling to understand, but attempting to incorporate into their own communication. The moral is that humanity's greatest strength was never our military might or even our adaptability. It's our capacity to transform enemies into allies by sharing our unique perspective. Below them, a mixed crew of humans and Caldari prepared for the first expedition into the quantum anomaly. Their mission patches bore a new symbol, a perfect Caldari geometric pattern with deliberate, beautiful imperfections, a representation of their new shared identity. "The ultimate triumph," Maya said, her voice resonating with both human emotion and Caldari clarity, "wasn't defeating an enemy, but creating something new that neither species could have achieved alone."